good morning to people in this region, and good evening, to friends who are in another continent. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining our symposium on crowd, heat, sea, wind in the light of ecological civilization. I'm Kwai-cheung Lo from Hong Kong Baptist University. Ecological civilization is a universal concern, I guess, for people, many people will agree that. But China is the only country so far that has written the objective to construct an ecological civilization in the constitution. So you will expect today, the presentations will focus on China-related environmental issues. In December 2020, we have organized a workshop entitled Wind, Water, Cloud in China-related Spaces for the Anthropocene Cultural Imaginary. Today's event can be seen as part of the series. Water, earth, fire, air, sky, sea, cloud, heat, wind in different cultures may be considered as fundamental elements of our world. Elemental things are often used these days to remind us of our intimate relationship to the surrounding environment and also the horrifying damages human beings have made on these elemental phenomena. So other than things in themselves, elements are also seen as media, as vessels, as containers of possibility that anchor and accommodate our existence, transmit our meanings, and make our action possible. So crowd, heat, sea, wind, the four key words for our symposium today, can be understood as elements, but they are also atmospheric things and fluid bodies, strongly associated with flows and turbulence. Although there are some long-term patterns one can calculate to forecast their movements, the flows and turbulence of crowd, heat, sea, and wind are more often forces of contingency and deviations. So these unstable matters may help us find new meanings and existence in a system that is no longer in constant equilibrium. China's ecological civilization campaigns endeavors to impose on its citizens, or even the world, an imaginary of the balance and harmony between economic growth and ecological upheaval. Crowd, heat, sea, and wind may serve as the media to seek alternative imagination and to hear silenced voices about the world's ecological condition. So may I thank each of our speakers and moderators for taking part in this symposium. Thanks also go to Zoe, Ting, Phoebe, Enoch, and Bram for their logistic support. So we look forward to all of our presentations today, and I hope you will find the discussions interesting and useful to our challenging situations. Well, thanks. So let's begin our panel. The first panel, we have 3 speakers. So may I introduce all the 3 speakers first, and then we do the presentations one by one. And after all the presentations, we will open up for discussions. Okay, our first speaker, Carlos Rojas, who is a professor of Chinese cultural studies, gender studies, and arts of moving image at Duke University. His research focuses on issues of gender, visuality, corporality, and infections, nationalism, and diasporic study, particularly as they relate to China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and the global Chinese diaspora. He works primarily in the early modern, and contemporary periods. He is the author of 3 books: The Naked Gaze, Reflection on Chinese Modernity, The Great War, A Cultural History, and Homesickness, Culture, Contagion, and National Transformation. He is also the co-editor of many books, just to name a few, Writing Taiwan, A New Literary History, Rethinking Chinese Popular Culture, the Oxford Handbook of Chinese Cinema, the Oxford Handbook of Modern Chinese Literature, and Ghost Protocol, Development and Displacement in Global China. Also, I guess there's a reason when reading against China, against the grain of China, right? If I remember correctly. He's also the translator of many significant works by Yan and Ke and Yu Hua. And today's he is going to talk about the environmental activism in China. And our second speaker, Kwai-cheung Lo, is Associate Professor of World and Ethnomusicology at Macalester College. He is an ethnomusicologist who studies music in a number of Asian traditions. His primary research interest is the music and performing arts of the Uyghur from Xinjiang. He has written on topics ranging from musical modernity and minority nationalism to cultural revival and exoticism. I guess this is precisely the topic he's going to talk about today. Wang is the author of Even in the Rain, Uyghur Music in Modern China. He's also the author and editor of 3 other books for Silk and Bamboo, Instrumental Music from the Chinese South, Soundscapes were in Chinese music and listening to Chinese music. His essays, translation, and other writings have appeared in different journals and collected volumes. And he hosts PhD from he holds a PhD in ethnomusicology from UCLA and Macalester College. He teaches courses in world music and ethnomusicology. And he is also the founder and director of the Macalester Asian Music Ensemble. The first speaker is for Emily Yu Jung, who received her PhD from the University of Queensland, Australia, and is currently an assistant professor at my department, the Department of Humanities and Creative Writing. Her research interests will include Asian diasporic literature and culture, ethnic eco-criticism, and multi-species storytelling. Her publication appears in Critique, Ariel, ISO, Lit's Journal of Postcolonial Writing, Journal of Intercultural Studies, the Cambridge History of the Australian Novel, among other venues. So may I invite Carlos to present, to share his ideas about the environmental activism in China.